guys. 8 o'clock Tuesday evening. Out of the top of my head, it's the 30th of July. Welcome, everybody. My name is Erik. I'm not Irish, I'm not English, I'm not American. I'm actually a Dutch person from Holland. And so I'm going to do my presentation in English for you tonight. I hope you'll bear with me. I hope the accent is palatable somehow. We have some very, very nice information for you. And it's going to be about self-love. How can you actually boost that? And what is it, quite frankly, that that keeps you down? Okay, so let's see who we have on tonight. We are on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, and of course, welcome to everybody here on Zoom tonight. I see that we have Anita. Welcome back. I think you were there last week. That is fantastic to see you again. Let's see, we have Dee. Just scrolling with my mouse here. Dee, welcome. Good to see you. Jacob, fantastic to have you. Kyle, I didn't think you would make it tonight, as you said, but it's great to have you here again. Lubna, welcome. Nicolene, it's great to see you again. Nuha, welcome to you. Renit, I think we met before last week. And Yetunde, okay, fantastic. You're also here again. That's great. There's some more people coming and joining. So we're still not completely there yet, not really complete. So, like I said, my name is Erik. I like to do a very, very informal type of presentation. Obviously, it's a Zoom webinar. The chat is open. You could actually ask anything in the chat if you want to. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. So I'll actually ask a lot of participation because we're going to do some drills, some exercise on the mind, and some basically recall some memories about life experiences. So it would be really great if you could actually share your experiences tonight in the chat. Now, like I said, my background is Dutch. I've been out of my country for, I think, about 25 years. I lived in Latin America and the Caribbean for almost half that time. I've been in Belgium for a good number of years, Scandinavia, in Ireland only since 2 years. I have a background in engineering and economics. But my biggest passion, I really discovered, had nothing to do with economics, had nothing to do with electronics or anything technical. My biggest passion was simply to be with other people and to impart information and to see how we could actually help each other. And so for that reason, you end up doing webinars and seminars from time to time and one-on-one consultations. Now, having said that, maybe you want to share where you are from and why, in particular, did you come to this webinar about gaining self-love? I'm quite curious. Maybe you want to share this with others as well. Like I said, the chat is open. Maybe you want to share quickly, where are you from and why are you here tonight? That'll be lovely. So I'll just take a minute and wait for some answers, okay? All right, Jacob. Thank you so much. The self, you touched upon something very, very interesting. The self prevents true love. And actually, we're going to cover that tonight. Why that is, why that keeps happening. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Nicolene, hello again. Okay, Chris Arndt, hello from New York. Great to have you. What's the time, Chris? Are we like 6 hours ahead of you? It's about 8 o'clock here. I guess it's about 2 o'clock for you. Anyway, great. Maybe you're right after your lunch. Maybe you're still at work. I really appreciate that you're here. It's great. Dee, all right. You're from England. Okay. If you love yourself, you can do so much more in life. Exactly. Very true. Okay, Lubna from Morocco. Yeah, I thought so. It sounded like a Moroccan name to me. Okay, good. I want to discover how the self-love is. Good. I hope you're going to get some answers tonight. Anita, yes, you introduced yourself last week. Really great. Thank you for doing that again. You're from the UK. You're here to learn why you don't take care of yourself. Okay. Likewise, I hope you're going to get some answers. Rinit from India, here to learn how to gain self-confidence or confidence. Great. All right. Chris, 3 p.m., summer of school teacher. All right, Chris, I guess that's wonderful, right? Now, I don't know about you, how it is in New York. Back in my country, in Holland, small country, I know that the school teachers, they're off like 10 to 12 weeks in primary and secondary school. So maybe you have that luxury as well. Okay, Jacob, all right, there's no such thing as self-love. Okay, Jacob, I got you. Well, let's find out. Okay, let's find out. Well, guys, thank you so much for the answers. That is really great. What I'm going to be using tonight, I'm using different books throughout every webinar. Tonight, what I'm going to be using is some excerpts of this book. It's called Self-Analysis. And it's a book by L. Ron Hubbard. He's also the author of Dianetics, which is an international bestseller on the mind. And he's also the founder of Scientology. So let me give you just a brief introduction of the book. I just highlighted a few things. So it says self-analysis cannot revive the dead. I guess it's quite logical. But self-analysis will conduct you on the most interesting adventure in your life. The adventure of you. How efficient are you? What are your potentials? How much can you improve? Well, basically your intentions toward yourself and your fellow man are good. Basically, if sometimes clouded over with a not-so-pale cast of bad experience, your potentialities are a great deal better than anyone ever permitted you to believe. That's an interesting statement, isn't it? So what are we going to do with this tonight is we're going to do some drills on the mind. Very, very interesting stuff. So the first thing that we're going to cover from the first chapter is are you a friend of yours? So it says here on page 13, probably the most neglected friend you have is you. And yet every man, before he can be a true friend to the world, must first become a friend to himself. Yeah? So how do we do that? Well, all problems are basically simple. All problems are basically simple. Once you know the fundamental answer. And this is no exception in life. Good. So just a little introduction from the book. Let's have some fun. Let's have a look what's going on here. Self is always the past, true love is now. Thank you. Great, Jacob. So let's have some fun. Let's start with a funny exercise. Okay? We're actually going to have a look at our minds. Now, what I would like you to do is just remember primary school. Remember primary school and see if you actually get a picture of primary school. Now, maybe you can imagine the playground, the courtyard. And maybe you can imagine the school building. Maybe you can even see the fencing or the hedge or the trees around that playground or courtyard. Maybe you can see where was the entrance or the exit. You might see, for example, the colors of the building. Maybe the colors of the street or the tiles or the grass or sand, whatever was there in that playground. So here's my first question. Yeah, we're just doing a little memory exercise here by remembering primary school. So here's the first question. Who of you actually got a picture? Some kind of a picture. Like a glimpse. Doesn't have to be, super clear. Doesn't have to be super detailed. But who of you actually got a picture of primary school. You can just simply put a yes or a no. Okay, Nicolene said yes. Kyle said yes. All right. D, yes. Thank you very much. Anita, yes. Lubna, yes. Good. So, what are we looking at? So, let's do a little sketch here of the mind. Let's say this would be your body. And your mind, as you can see, your mind makes pictures. So let's see, these are pictures. We call these pictures mental images. So why are they mental? Well, they're mental because they're not physical. You have pictures there, but you cannot really touch them. You cannot do, hey, knock, knock, here's the fence. You cannot touch these pictures. However, you can experience these pictures. You can see dimensions. You can see colors, right? You can see objects. All that stuff is actually registered in those pictures. Good. Now let's have let's do another exercise. Now, what I would like you to do is imagine that you are in your favorite chair again, in the living room, in another house. It could be the house where you grew up. It could be a recent house. Not the house where you're right now, but one of the previous houses. So let's imagine you just pick any house. You pick any chair. Let's imagine that you're in your favorite chair in the living room in one of the houses where you lived before. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let's have a look around and see what kind of objects we find around ourselves in that room. And let's point them out. So what I would like you to do, I cannot see you because I only see a camera, but you can see me. But what I would like you to do is, as an exercise, I'm inviting you to point towards the TV. So from where you're sitting, where would the TV be? Just point it out. Go ahead. Have some fun. So, all right. Well, the TV would be over there. Just estimate for yourself how far away would that be. Was it like 2 meters, 3 meters, 1 meter, a bit further? Let's see if we can actually get a picture of that TV. Can you see the frame? Or can you see the size? Can you see where it's hanging or what it is sitting on? Maybe it's sitting on a dresser or something. Standing on a table, what have you. Okay, good. So if you have that, now let's find a window. Any window in the room. Maybe there's more. Just choose one. So from where you're sitting, point to any window that you see in that room. For example, if I imagine again that I'm in the living room where I grew up, I would say, well, I have a big window over there and I got a smaller window over there. Now, as an exercise, maybe you can see if that was an open window, or if the window had blinds, or if the window had curtains. You might see the color of the blinds or the color of the curtains, and even the texture. Was that a real curtain? What kind of fabric was it? Okay, and you're going to get details. Let's do another one. From where you're sitting, find a table and point to the table. Now let's have a look at the shape of the table. Good? All right, guys, so I'm curious about your feedback. I'm curious about your feedback. I don't know who I see in the camera. Unfortunately, I can't hear you, but I see you making the gestures. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So give me some feedback. Did you actually see these objects appearing in the room? Yeah? Nicole, you see things. Okay, that is great. Jacob, okay, yeah, that was your last comment. All right. D, yes, okay, fantastic. Anybody else? Did you actually see those objects appearing, even if it was for a split second? Lubna, okay, I'm not sure why I remember me as a child in my grandma's house. Okay, but I could see the objects. Fantastic. Very good. Yeah, you actually got pictures. All right, so now, this is your mind. This is your mind. Your mind does this all the time. Your mind makes these pictures all the time. And what is so special about these pictures is that these pictures happen to be three-dimensional. They are recorded in 3D. Now, that would be your mind. So imagine a Hollywood type film on a footage, this long tape with all these pictures recorded in time. Your mind is a bit similar. However, your mind is not two-dimensional. Your mind is three-dimensional. All right, cool. Now, maybe you want to hear a fun fact. All these pictures are not in your brain. They are not in your brain. And now maybe you're going to be in disbelief. Erik, what nonsense are you trying to sell us? How can you say that these pictures are not in the brain? Everybody knows that these pictures are in the brain. How can you try to convince us that they're not? Well, the brain theory is a theory. It has never been proven. The idea that your memories are stored in your brain, that idea originated somewhere about 100 plus years ago in Austria, where they had psychoanalysis, where they had psychology and these kind of things. But they didn't really have the science to back up that statement. So it was just originated, it came as an idea, and a lot of people said, well, that seems to make a lot of sense. But there was never any scientific proof. So what would make me tell you that these pictures are not in the brain? Well, you did not say the TV is over there and the table is a little bit more behind and the door is in the back of my head, just like the kitchen, it's in the back of my head, and the window is just inside of my temple. You didn't do that. You pointed about you. You said, well, you know, I can clearly see a TV over there. I can clearly see a table over there. I see a door behind me. I know it's about 4 meters behind my chair. So you would ask yourself, what is actually going on here? All right. Now, so if we have a body, if we have a mind, I could actually ask you who or what is looking at these pictures. So maybe you want to answer me that. Who or what is looking at these pictures? And I'm very curious about your answers. What do you think is actually looking at these pictures? What do you think? The chat is open. Just pop in whatever you want to pop in. Nicolene, it's yourself. All right. I like the answer. Kyle, us, ourselves. Okay. Let me have a sip of tea, guys. Okay, guys. So what do you think? What do you think? Anita. Oh, Clara. Hey, Clara. It's good to see you. Dee, Jacob, Jag, welcome back. What do you guys think? So who is looking at these pictures? Anybody else with an idea? Anita, okay, part of your brain, D, brain. Okay, good. So what we like to do is actually find out for ourselves. We could actually listen to all these learned, quote unquote, experts. But wouldn't it be great if you could actually find your own answers? That'd be fantastic, right? So let's just call it you for now. So here is something very, very interesting. You seem to know that a body is something that you have. You would say, my arm hurts. You would not say, I hurt. You would say, my hand, my arm hurts. You would say, I have two hands. You would say, I have a crooked nose. But you would say, I have. You instinctively know that a body is something that you have. You also instinctively know that the memories is something that you have. I don't have any memory about that. I cannot remember. The pictures don't seem to come to me. It kind of like indicates that you know your mind is something that you have, your body is something that you have. Okay, so we're not going to go into that. We could say that you are a life force. And maybe at some point you had the idea that you could be more. You could do more. Maybe you had the idea you had much more potential. That you somehow could achieve way more in life. And at the same time, something was holding you back. Something kept you back. Something kept you from really being the true you. Now, it's true. You have a lot of potential. It's also true you're not using all of that. As a matter of fact, Einstein once said that we probably use only 10% of our potential. Now, if that's true, what happened to the other 90%? Okay? So, let's go back to these pictures. Yeah, we looked at primary school. We looked at being in the living room again. So here's my next question. Here's my next question. You looked at some pictures. Now, did it cause any discomfort? Did it cause any nervousness? Did it cause anything unwanted, unpleasant, looking at your mind, looking at your pictures? Was that in some way uncomfortable? Please pop that in the chat. If it was, yes. If it wasn't, no. Very simple, very easy. D, thank you very much. So it was no for you. I got that. Nicolene, concentration. Okay, very good. Anita, no. Thank you. All right, good. So now we're going to go to another question. So here's the next one. Did you ever go to a job interview? Did you ever have to do, for example, a presentation in front of class or in front of, whatever other activity, maybe work? Did you ever go to a job interview, maybe an exam, or you had to do a presentation? Did that cause any nervousness or discomfort? Have you experienced that? Did that cause any nervousness or discomfort? Please, your answers again in the chat. Because we're going to take that to our next chapter. Okay, Anita, yes. Thank you very much. Nicolene, yes. Lubna, always. All right. D, of course. Eric, what do you think? Of course. Thank you, D. Kyle, yes. All right. Good. So the next question is very critical. Did you want to feel uncomfortable and stressed? So if you did you want to feel that way? That is the next question. So actually, if you did feel uncomfortable, if you did feel stressed during that exam or during that, let's say, job interview or stand-up talk in front of a group of people, did you actually want to feel stressed? Surely not. No. No, of course. Okay. Good. So, what can we conclude? There is something there that seems to be controlling you. There is something there that causes that stress. All right, so how does that manifest? How does that manifest? It does a number of very, very funny things. If you've ever done one of these things, like an exam, a job interview, a stand-up talk, you probably have some reality on it. What happens? Let's say you have to talk in front of a group of people. What happens? All of a sudden, that stress here, it makes your body feel very weak. It controls your body. All of a sudden, your legs might feel like spaghetti. Yeah, you feel like you have no strength in your legs, and you might become very, very nervous. And maybe you want to read from a paper, but you cannot keep the paper still. You cannot control your arm. In other words, that force completely takes over your body. Now, as you see, it also takes over your mind. Something very funny. Let's say you practiced and you knew exactly what you were going to discuss. And maybe you had a paper here with bullet points. It's okay. I'm going to talk about subject A, and I'm going to say such and such and such. I'm going to talk about subject B, and I'm going to say such and such and such. And so on. And the moment was there that you were actually going to talk. And what happened? All of a sudden, your memory went blank. Like it was like a complete shut off from your memory. Okay, well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? It's certainly not something we want. It does a lot more. It controls your mind. It will control your emotions. It will even control your purposes. When the moment is there, and you actually wanted to do that thing before, you might now draw back and say, well, you know, I can't do it. I absolutely can't do this. I will fail. And your emotions will drop. All right? There's a lot that you can know about it. As a matter of fact, this book comes in quite handy. Actually, when I give you an offer at the end of the webinar, the book comes in quite handy to actually do something about that. Good. Now, we would like to know where does that come from? And we find out that we have a part of the mind that seems to be very rational, very analytical. And there's a part of the mind that seems to be very irrational. It just throws things at you. That's a sum symbol. So here you have the sum of all your bad experiences. So, how does that work? How do these bad experiences from the past affect you? All right, now I'm going to give you a very, very simple, down-to-earth example. Let's say you ever experienced the door shutting on your fingers. You might have experienced that as a kid. Here's the question. Do you now become a little bit cautious when your hand reaches that area where the door fits into the doorpost, especially when the door is open? Do you tend to stay away from that and be cautious? Okay, Anita, definitely. All right. There's something there that seems to steer you away into, well, definitely not going there, right? Or let's say, let me give you another example. Let's say you ate some tainted food. You ate some tainted food in the past. What happened later on when you were presented that same food again? Did you eagerly want to eat it again? What will be your answer? You had eaten some tainted food. Maybe you got pretty sick from eating that tainted food. Now later on, that same kind of food was presented to you again. Did you eagerly go for it and say, okay, yeah, let me have that? Yuck. Okay, Clara. Yeah. Right? So we're like, nah, that's a no-go for me. Yeah, I'm not gonna eat that again. Anita, nope. Okay. So once again, there's something there. There's some bad experience, right? There's something there. It kind of like nicely steers you away from not having that same experience again. Okay. Okay, now let's do a little bit heavier one. I don't want you to dig in your past, yeah? It's not the purpose tonight to make you sad or cause any upsets or emotions. Maybe you can just have a look at how certain things affected you in the past, yeah? Have you seen that, for example, when you lost someone or something that was very, very dear to you? Let's say your favorite pet, or a person that you were really attached to. What happens if you think back of that loss? Do the emotions swell up again? I don't really want you to look. I'm just curious about your answer. Yeah? Do the emotions come back? Do the emotions consume you again? Even to some extent. Does that happen? Okay, Nicolene, thank you for your answer. I feel sorrow sometimes. Clara, yes. Okay. Jacob, emotions prevent true feeling. Very good. All right, so there is a portion of the mind that stores all these bad experiences. Now, what we have just covered are basically experiences that you have sort of experienced while you were conscious. And while you were conscious, it caused a lot of pain. You went partially unconscious, or you became less conscious. And then later on, it starts to control you. You don't want it, but you can't shake it. It starts to control you anyway. However, maybe sometimes you feel that you're really making a mountain out of a molehill. Which is like, wow, why did I have to make this so big? Why does this whole thing have to snowball in something completely out of proportion? That is because there's a lot of incidents there that have a lot of pain, a lot of negativity in them. Let's say these incidents that we just discussed, like eating something tainted, having the door shut on your fingers, or having a loss. Yeah, they can be traumatic, don't have to be. What about a moment where you were fully unconscious? Let's say an operation with full anesthesia. Let's say even being in your mom's belly. Well, there's a lot to know about that and actually how that affects you. Yeah, we're interested in the root cause of what is actually causing the stress. We're also interested in how we can actually get that eliminated altogether. Now, here's one thing there that kind of like prevents you to do something again. And in a certain way, that is pro-survival. I want to give you a few more examples. So maybe sometimes you experience doing something and then regret it. And you would say, I shouldn't have done that. I actually feel bad about it. So it could be something like, well, yeah, let's say you're telling a lie. It kind of like seems to come as an impulse, and later on you ask yourself, where did that come from? Why did I do that? It could be, for example, that you stole something. Now it starts to gnaw on you, and you don't really know how to make it up. And of course, if we're a bit younger and we have a lot of passion, you might have slept with somebody that you didn't even love. And then the next day you woke up with a hangover and said, gosh, why did I do this? Maybe you did drugs and you regretted that. Maybe you gambled and you lost money, or maybe you simply made a promise and you didn't keep your promise. All kinds of funny things to really counter survival, so to speak, right? Now, why do I give these examples? We're living on planet Earth. We're living on planet Earth. Yeah, I don't know how to shut it down. How is that? So we're streaming, guys, but we have no Wi-Fi, so it's gonna go through my phone. That's why you hear the little beeps. Good. So why do I bring up these subjects? We're living on planet Earth, and you only have to watch the news for half an hour to know. It's quite a disastrous place to be, right? It seems that a lot of people have problems, and these problems come from somewhere. Now, so just telling you, nobody really is an angel here. So, just another question. Yeah, so one that you can relate to. Have you ever been dishonest to somebody? Have you ever been dishonest to somebody? Nicolene, yes. Lukna, yes. Okay. D, yeah. All right. Nicolene, very good. I don't watch the news anymore. All right. Yes. Nicolene, yes. All right. So here's the same thing again. Here's the same thing that we touched upon earlier. Did you want to be stressed, or in this case, did you want to be dishonest? Yeah. So if you have ever been dishonest, did you really want to be dishonest? Did you choose to be dishonest? No. Okay. All right. So what's happening here? This force here let's call it a force. It impulses you to do something that really goes against you. It goes against your mores. It goes against your values. It goes against your integrity. And it goes against, quite frankly, it goes against your survival. So that force there is actually counter-survival. Like, let's say you ate a tainted apple, and apples are good for you. Now you had an apple that had worms. And maybe after that, you have that thought constantly about finding a worm again in an apple. You would never touch an apple again. Because, hey, that's not logical. Like, this one apple does not equal another 1,000 apples that I'm going to eat in my life. All these 1,000 apples are not the same as that apple. So there's something there that goes directly against your survival. You sleep with a person, you're not even in love with that person. You take some money or a possession from somebody, and the next day you go like, why the hell did I do that? Well, you lied to a person, and now you lie again to cover it up. And now you wonder, how do I get out of this mess? Then you can ask yourself, well, what got you into that mess in the first place? Well, there was something there that impulsed you to not be you, to be something else than you. Because later on you said, why did I do that? That wasn't me. It was something that took over. Okay? Okay, so I have another question for you. Have you ever experienced something? Have you ever experienced doing something and then you regretted it because you shouldn't have done it? Just reading from the paper here. Have you ever experienced doing something and then you regretted it because you shouldn't have done it? Yeah, all right. So, thank you guys. That's a nice answer. Yeah, you did something and you felt that impulse. You just went for it. And it even seemed natural sometimes. It was like a big deceiver, right? Later on when you look back, you say, hey, that was just very bad. It was really counter-survival. There was this force there that impulsed your body to do something, that impulsed with your thoughts to do something strange, something counter-survival. All right, now let's go and take it to the other side. Have you ever experienced that you really wanted something? You really wanted to do something. And then you didn't have the courage, or you had a lot of self-doubt or fear to really go for what you really wanted. So I really want to have this job. This job would be perfect for me. And then you were too afraid to have the conversation with the HR manager. Or you were not yourself. You were not calm. You were super nervous. Or there was something there that you thought, I would really love to do that in my life. But all you see was just barriers on the road and obstacles. You say, well, I wouldn't be good at that. I'm simply not good at that. Have you ever experienced that you really wanted to be something or do something or have something, and then that you would stop yourself because you had self-doubts and fears? Did you ever run into this? Okay. I got an answer, D. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Lubna, yes, thank you very much, D. Lubna, thank you. Anita, so many times. Clara, worry. Okay. Unfortunately, yes. Good. So, what can we conclude? What can we conclude? This thing here, the bad experiences, as you can find out for yourself, it keeps you from doing the things that you really want to do. Whenever you have a big plan, a brilliant idea, a bright moment, you say, you know what, I'm going to do this. There's something there that will cause self-doubt, insecurity, see a lot of bears on the road, see a lot of difficulties, and it would stop you in your tracks from being who you want to be, from doing what you want to do. Now, at the same time, that here will actually encourage you to do things that go against you, which are counter survival. All right, you know what? Let's do some drugs. Let's get drunk tonight. Let's get laid. Let's just not do anything. Instead of being ambitious, let's watch TV. And then you ask yourself, what is actually stopping me? And every time when you're in such a moment that you do something that was actually against your own integrity, you will experience a failure. You will experience regret. And you actually don't like yourself when that happens. Sometimes you feel you can't stand yourself. And likewise, you might go for a tremendous opportunity and then completely miss it because of your own doubts. And make a mess out of the whole thing. Mess it up, not go, skip it altogether, and you won't like yourself. You would actually go like, why am I doing this to me? There you have the single factor that actually affects your self-love. Now, this little animal here has got a name. This part we're going to call the analytical mind. It analyzes data. So, how does that work? You come home, you put your keys somewhere. You go in through the house, you go in through different rooms. A couple of hours later, you look at your watch and gosh, I just got one more hour to do my shopping. You want to go out and you're looking for your keys, and you can't seem to find them. So, gosh, what do I do with my keys? And you're not going to roam around all the rooms in the house. You're not going to find your keys in every little corner of every little room. Now you're going to use your mind. You'll go back. What did I do when I actually got back home? And you get a picture. Your mind will give you a picture where you can find your keys. Say, oh yeah, hang on. I got home and I put them at the cupboard. Your mind will tell you where to find things. That is your analytical mind. It analyzes stuff. There's another mind which has a bit different name. And it's called a reactive mind. Okay, so we have a little bit of time. Let me give you an idea how that works. It's very, very simple. So let's say we had a bad experience with a dog. And when that dog bit you, it was very painful. Now, these moments can also be unconscious. And the more unconscious a person is, the stronger the force will be that controls the person. Okay, we'll just take a simple example. Let's say that same person here sees a very, very similar dog. So years later, here's a dog that is very similar to the dog in that instant. What do you think will happen? The chat is open, guys. What do you think will happen? Here's a bad experience, a painful experience. The person gets bitten by a dog. A couple of years later, sees the same dog, a very similar dog, again. What is going to happen? Nicolene, you get afraid, all right? They will recollect the painful past and be extra cautious, alert. Clarawari, okay, re-stimulation of a painful incident. Lubna, you will feel the same feeling as the first time. You nailed it, Lubna. You nailed it. That is exactly what is going to happen. So what does he do? He's actually taking this moment here and projects it there. So now, through an earlier experience, the person is going to look at the new experience. But that earlier experience has pain. So when he's looking at this at the same time, that thing is going to reactivate that thing here, and now he's under stress. So Lubna, you got the right answer. He's going to experience the same emotion, the same feeling as the first time. All right, good. Now, if life was that simple, then we could actually solve our problems quite easily. And the truth is that is that simple. It is that simple. However, you have some more things to handle there, because there's quite some force there that will keep you down and makes you only use that 10% of your capabilities, your potentials. The 90% of the potentials that you're not using is hidden in there, and it's holding you down, and it doesn't make you love yourself. All right, now just imagine that you have to continue for the rest of your life only using 10% or less, and not be happy with yourself, and continue not reaching your goals because you constantly feel distressed whenever you try to do something good for you. Well, that is a bit of a grim future, isn't it? So what I would like to present to you is I would like to go back to self-analysis. It's an amazing book. It actually has procedures, things that you can do for yourself to reduce the negativity in yourself. It actually works by testing, IQ testing, personality testing. You could actually prove that if a person works with the procedures in the book, that he's actually going to go up in IQ and in self-confidence, in happiness, and also becomes more competent. Now, the book has tests where you can actually test yourself to see where you are and also to monitor your own progress. And it's not something that that will wear you out, because it actually has very simple processes that you could do roughly, let's say, 15 minutes a day. That makes it quite easy to do. And within a week, 2 weeks, you will actually already start to see improvements. You probably feel more lighter. You probably feel a bit more cheerful. Yeah, a lot of stuff that can actually happen. So let me just give you a few examples of what you can actually find in the book. Now maybe you want to know what are your true potentials. And you'll find it on page 5. Maybe you want to know what is, let me see, what is the common goal that all of us have, all life forms? What is the common goal all life forms have in common? Now you'll find on page 14. What can you expect when your mind is in an excellent condition? You'll find it on page 36. Now, what would happen if one erases all that stuff, the pain, the losses, the upsets, the disagreements, if one actually erases all that stuff of a lifetime, what would happen? And you'll find it on page 47. Now you'll also find a chapter to predict your own behavior and the behavior of somebody else. One more question. Maybe you want to know what are the ingredients of success. And you'll find out on page 122. Cool, guys. So it is very, very close to 9 o'clock. This is what I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope you liked it. My colleague is going to put a link there for the book. It's an amazing book, like I said. One of the things that you could say, this is like a manual for your mind and a manual to improve your love for yourself, to improve your love for others, to be faster in your response times, to feel happier, to feel better about you. Here you have a manual for your life and for your mind. It's a fantastic start. So the chat has the link right now. I'm just going to take another sip of tea, and then I'll be ready for some questions. In the meantime, if you want to, have a look and see if it could be something for you. It comes with free shipping in Europe. All right, let me ask you a bold question, if that's okay with you. Just for the fun of it, right? Who thinks that tonight you learned more than you could have gotten out of a psychology textbook? Who thinks that tonight, with this information alone, just in 1 hour, you learn more about the mind than you could get from a psychology textbook? All right, Anita, you bought it last week? Okay. You bought a Newsnet on Life. Yeah, that's another great one. So just out of my, just my curiosity. You think that you actually learn more tonight than you got out of a psychology textbook? Okay, D, I think so. Great. That's fantastic. Anita, I believe I did. Okay, that's amazing. Good. Well, that's the great thing. That's the great thing, guys. This person did an amazing amount of research in the field of the mind, the field of life. The data is just it'll blow you away. You actually get a manual for your life. And it's kind of interesting. You can read a couple of his books and have a talk with a psychologist who went to study perhaps for 4 years or longer. You find out you actually know more. It's sometimes quite a surprise. But apart from that, maybe knowing more, that's already great. But how about having something practical that you can do to help yourself and even help others? Maybe you have a child that you want to help. Maybe you have a husband or a wife or a girlfriend, a friend that you want to help. There's actually processes in the book that you can give to somebody else and help that other person feel good about himself. So it handles both the good things about you and also handles the bad impulses to reduce them in power so they don't affect you so much. Yeah? Good. Final question. It's 9 o'clock. Anybody here, any questions? The offer is on the whole night, 17 euros, including shipping. It's almost like going and buying a hamburger meal in terms of price. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to pop any question if you like. You guys have been amazing. You guys have been fantastic with your answers. The participation was absolutely great. Loved it. I hope you had fun. I did. All right, Nicolene. Okay, good. So you had a bad connection. Sorry to hear that. Lubna, thank you for everything. Okay, you're most welcome. Thanks, Clara. Thank you for being there. It's great to have you again. I hope everything is going great for you in life in Belgium. All right, guys. So, Dieter, do you have my telephone number by any chance? So I'm going to do one last thing. Dita, my colleague, she's gonna put my WhatsApp number in the chat, just in case that you do have a question. Maybe you don't want to put it in the chat right now. Maybe you have a more personal question. I'll be very, very happy to hear from you. I'll be very happy to share the information with you if I can answer your question. Yeah, but my number is coming up right now, and so feel free to text me. I always make some time to reach out to people and answer any question. Feel free to text me. I'll be happy, very happy to hear from you. Okay, Anita, found the session very, very useful. So thank you. I'm sure I'll be back, as Arnie would say. Okay, guys, so I'm going to end up here. Once again, you've been great. I actually loved to have you tonight. Your comments were great. Your participation was great. Follow us on Eventbrite or Meetup, and then hopefully we'll meet again next week or another week on a Tuesday evening. For now, I wish you all the best. Have a great rest of your evening, and hope to see you again.